Hello and welcome. Today we're going to make a chocolate mug cake. But first, I apologize about the week without videos. If you're viewing this at the time that it comes out, then you kind of know why I didn't put out a video last week. But I will be right back into getting videos out 2 to 3 times a week. So, let's jump to our ingredients and then we'll get the cake done. It's going to be super easy and super quick. For the ingredients today, we're going to need 4 tablespoons flour, 4 tablespoons sugar, 2 tablespoons cocoa powder, 1 16-ounce microwave-safe coffee mug, 1 egg, 1/8 teaspoon of vanilla, basically a splash, 3 tablespoons of oil, and 3 tablespoons of milk. If you were doing non-dairy milk, oat milk works, none of the rest of them work. Real quick on that mug thing, you need a 16-ounce or greater mug to use the whole recipe. Technically, you could cut the recipe in half if you have a 8-ounce mug. Most mugs are about 12 ounces and they won't work, and I will show you why during the cooking part. So with these two mugs, the blue one is fine, but the white one would be not big enough at all. Alright, now, starting out with our ingredients, I'm going to put all the dry in first on this one. I think you're better off if you put the wet in first because it kind of makes a puff and splashes a little as I'm doing it. But basically, that's almost the entire recipe. So, mix your dry or your wet. Either way, these don't have to go in any particular order. It's not going to mess anything up if you do one out of the ordinary. Just what I'm doing here is just mixing up the powders because that's just sort of a habituary thing I do when I do dry wet mixes. Otherwise, you don't really have to do that either. You can just pour everything in one at a time in the mug and then stir it with a fork or, in my case, a tiny little whisk. When you do that, you're going to want to stir until it's nice and smooth on the end. So you're not going to see any lumps. And right after I get done mixing everything, you know, it'll get that sort of smooth consistency. It should be shiny. It should be lump-free. It should be fairly clear. If you do have any lumps, what that will do is it'll cause you almost always to be flour. And it'll be just little clumps of flour, and you do not want that. So you want to mix until it's nice and smooth looking, and to where sufficiently that it's smooth. The more you mix, you're also going to mix in a little bit of air, so that'll make it a little lighter, and mug cakes tend to be a little on the dense side, so sometimes that's not great. So, like you see here, it's nice and smooth, it just comes right off of a ribbon, and that's all you need to do. From there, it's just into the microwave, a 1000-watt microwave, on high for 3 minutes. Alright, so you remember I said you needed a 16-ounce mug, and the smaller mug would not work. Well, my shaky microwave cam here is about to show you why that is. And there we go. So this is going to rise above the glass, and it shouldn't. In none of the times that I tested the recipe, it did not drain down the sides and make a mess in the microwave. It actually never once spilled enough to hit the bottom of the glass on the turntable of the microwave. So if you don't have a turntable in your microwave, you might actually want to go with a minute, rotate it at a minute, and then so on, because the turntable is a little bit important. Shaky microwave footage is getting a little foggy at this point because the moisture in the air is getting a little much, but we'll take this time to talk about the things we need to talk about. This is for a large mug, and the reason this is for a large mug is because, again, it comes out, but when it cools off, it's actually going to sink back down. It's similar to a souffle or a sponge cake. So what you want to do here is you do want to serve it warm still, because that's really the best way to do this one, but it is immediately going to fall down. And I have a couple different pictures of ones and how they fell, and I'll show you that, so you know what you're in for. So after this was done in 3 minutes and the beep, literally the time it took me to open the microwave door and put the camera in, it had fallen from that 1.5 inches or so above the rim all the way down to what you see here. So like I said, it is going to fall. It's going to fall pretty fast. Now, we did have these two that I'm going to show you these pictures of during the testing, and they kind of, a little bit of the outside had actually hooked on the rim of the glass, and that's why it didn't fall all the way down like the other ones did, which I thought was kind of funny looking. But again, just want to make sure you know, hey, this could happen too. Alright, and with that, we have made a chocolate mug cake. The nice thing about these mug cakes is they're very customizable, since you're doing it right there and you're just going to eat it in just a few minutes. So if you want to toss in Reese's Pieces or chocolate chips, nuts, pretty much anything that you can think of that you would put on a cake or in a cake, is a good mix. Plus, everybody gets to have their own, and they get to make it their own. So it's like, oh, if one person likes nuts, one person doesn't like nuts, there's no real issues there. So this is kind of a nice thing to do with your friends at a party. And this is actually one of the only mug cake recipes I've tried that actually turned out okay. Most of them were too dense and hard and kind of just generally bad. This one actually tastes pretty good, and it has a very cake-like consistency instead of sort of being rubbery or hard. So, I hope you learned something, and I hope you had an enjoyable time. If you haven't already subscribed and you enjoyed it, I would say maybe you want to subscribe so that you can see more videos like this. And there'll be a little more in-depth cooking stuff too. And with that, have a great day and a great meal.